Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
What if this vase is cursed, okay?
Back off, bitch. I ain't leaving until I get that vase.
If this vase has a curse on it, you do not want to touch it.
Stop tampering with the spell.
Oh my god.
My Aunt May should really
Stop talking.
Are you not entertained?
No, that's a show off.
Unless what they're showing off is dope as fuck.
Let's talk.
It was a firefight!
No. Carl's Han Solo effect!
Jay! What are you doing?
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
It's phase time, bitches. What?
It's vase time, bitches. Welcome to the Kerfuffle. That was the opening video. Sometimes it changes. This time it's the same as last week because I was tired. Very excited to be here today. I have with me Debbie, who's here last week, and a special guest, William Morgan of the Geek Gauntlet podcast, both of whom, actually all three of us, are members of the Geek News Now community. You can check that out on geeknewsnow.net, or you can go to the YouTube page, just search Geek News Now. Don't let it autocorrect you to Greek News Now, because then it'll just be a bunch of Greek stuff. Geek, it tries. It will try. Geek News Now.
News Now.
Exactly. And you can find more of us there. But today, we're here to talk about kerfuffling things, random stuff going on. But before we get to that, I'd like to let my guests introduce themselves, starting with Debbie.
Hi, all. I'm part of the social media team over at Geek News Now. Also on Monday nights, I'm with this guy again, doing MCU Mondays.
Can't get enough of each other.
Yeah, it's hard.
My favorite thing about Debbie is she puts up with me.
That's a lot.
Valuable characteristic to have. Every week, sometimes twice a week. My goodness.
Yes, twice a week lately.
And we've also with us today, again, William Morgan of the Geek Gauntlet. Tell us about yourself, what you do, what the Geek Gauntlet is, maybe.
Yes, how's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone's having a great week. You catch me in the Geek Gauntlet podcast. We air it over on my Twitch channel. I am a Twitch affiliate over there. William Morgan Media, twitch.tv. Every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, we break down everything that goes down in the world of geek, TVs, movies, anime, comics. We break it all down, and then you get a replay of the show on GNN's YouTube page. We have to wait a few days because of Twitch's affiliate rules, but you can catch the show there a few days later on GNN's YouTube page. So definitely check us out.
Absolutely, and they do a great show. I've actually been able to be on it myself a couple times. It's a lot of fun, and even when I'm not on the show, it's filled with just tons, everything that happened in the week. They do they keep track of a lot of DC stuff as well, specifically, which is something that I like about it because I do MCU Mondays, so I'm always trying to do the Marvel stuff, pay attention to that. But I love myself some DC too. Even as far as the shows, I've watched most of the shows. I'm not caught up on everything at this point, but like The Flash, I watched almost all of that. Not this newest season, but was hugely invested in that for a long time. Along with Green Arrow, I watched that when it first started, and there's enjoyable things about that. And while we're on the subject of that, what we're getting into tonight in a big way is the overall state of DC, not just the DCEU, though that is going to be a primary focus, but also just DC in general. What with Marvel now doing their mini-series type shows, and that's how they're connecting, because they used to do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and there were the Netflix shows. Those Marvel things were very much like the DC shows. Like you have 20 some episodes, usually 40 minutes long or something like that. A big chunk of time went into that. Now Marvel's doing it where they got the smaller episodes. That may end up changing how DC is doing things. We'll have to see. And one of the big things that's going to be changing a lot of stuff in DC is the upcoming Flash movie. And that's what I want to talk about right now, specifically the Flash movie, and then the overarching consequences it could have. For those that don't know, the Flash movie, the live action Flash movie, is based on a comic that also was turned into a animated movie. Yep. And it's the Flashpoint paradox, where the Flash goes back in time to try and save his mother, ends up creating a new reality called Flashpoint, where basically everything is different. There's a whole war going on between the Atlanteans and Amazonians, right, with Wonder Woman. And so what we're going to do now is watch the trailer for that. So maybe that'll give you a little bit of an idea of exactly what we're talking about. And then I want to hear your thoughts on that movie and what you think the impact's going to be. So let's take a look at this.
World War III. Maybe I could have stopped it if I just ran a little faster. Faster! The Speed Force allows the Reverse Flash to travel through time. He changed something in the past. We have to find out what he changed and change it back before they kill everyone on the planet. In my world, I'm a hero.
You mean like Batman?
No matter how fast you run, you can't save everyone.
We're running out of time.
War's over. Everybody lost. No!
You'd be amazed the monsters this world can create.
And so that doesn't even give you as much of a glimpse like that Batman that was talking. That was an older, different version of Batman. That was if Thomas Wayne had become Batman and Bruce Wayne had died in alley, because again, with the Flash did, he went back in time, makes a whole bunch of stuff up. Now, what they're saying about the live action version is they're going to have him, and that when Flash travels in time, he can also, we've seen this in the show, travel to alternate Earths, which is kind of the multiverse theory of the DC, is that there's alternate Earths and different realities on each one. Now, Flashpoint's slightly different. That's like creating an alternate reality in his own Earth, in his own reality, by changing the time stream. But they've talked about in this movie how he's going to be bouncing through and probably on his way to make this change. Because whenever he enters the Speed Force and does that kind of thing, we've seen it in the Flash show, he has these different realities passing him. So, that's, they talk about him bouncing around in these things and unifying the DC verse, not just the DCEU, like the connect, but every DC thing ever essentially is going to exist, not in the same reality necessarily, but there's going to be different Earths that, so anything can be connected to this essentially. What do you think about that, William? You know, I know you're big, you got the Flash hat on, a big DC guy. What do you think about this move by DC? Are they putting all their hopes on this to fix the DC universe? Is it going to be nothing? Is it going to be a big deal? What do you think?
It sort of kind of reminds me of when they made a mistake in the comics with the New 52. They saw how bad it was, and then they had to go back and change it from the New 52 to what we have now. That's what it reminds me of. I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm not a big Ezra Miller guy. I never have been.
Same here.
But
Same here.
yeah, I'm not. I'm just. He can't get the run right. If you can't get the run right, if you can't get the run, you have no business being the Flash. But
can I ask you about that real fast? Because I want to say, I think in the you saw the Snyder cut too. I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me get rid of this real fast. So I thought they did a better job in the Snyder cut of him running. It was so kind of ridiculous, but that was my big thing with him too. He's doing this weird, like, and it I think, but it looks weird. It's not like that's how the Flash runs, you know, like it's a sprinter. They were doing like a
strides. It's not long strides. It's more of a quick and tight pace, and that's what like, right. That will represent the role better. He's taking these long strides, like he's not in a rush.
Have you ever seen speed skating?
Yeah.
Have you seen how they? I think that's what they were modeling it after. Speed skating, because like he's supposed to be so fat, and then you see him like sliding into places.
Right.
But again, the whole point of him is that he can go instantly and also like stop instantly if he needs to. Is just stop on a dime. Like that's one of the craziest things about it. So like to see him having to like slide and it just didn't fit in like the way. And I know every time they redo a character, there's going to be something, but the way the Flash runs, that's kind of important. It's kind of his whole thing.
It is. It is. It makes him different from other speedsters too. But I think it's a good thing. You're gonna get, and I hate to see Supergirl from DC TV go. From CW, I'm gonna hate to see her go, Melissa Benoist. But we have a new Supergirl, and then this one from another Earth. So I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. Presumably, you're gonna have two Batman in this same movie. I'm interested in seeing that. I don't know about tying things together, but that's what it seems like they should do. I just don't know if they're smart enough to do that.
Do you think one of the?
I don't know.
They're smart enough.
I don't know.
They've been trying to play catch up to Marvel for a long time with the DCEU, and then recently it seems as if they haven't cared so much about trying to make things stick together. Like they had the new Suicide Squad, which could stand completely alone from the original Suicide Squad. You've got the Joker, which, if anything, takes place on an alternate Earth and where all these other things are happening. So they haven't been caring as much. And you've got the new Robert Pattinson Batman coming up, which also is, I forget which, Earth 2. I think that one's supposed to be on.
I think it's Earth 2.
Earth 2. Right. So I think the Flash movie is going to help solidify the fact that anything that you've seen that's different, it was just on a different Earth type thing. I think they're setting it up so they can tell a wider variety of stories. And I think Marvel's doing a similar thing, although I still think they're trying to keep it more like this is still the MCU. We're going to have multiverses so we can tell other stories, but like they're still like.
But here's my issue, though. If you want to put everything together and tie it all together as one, wouldn't it be better, instead of coming out with individuals, wouldn't it be better to just come out and do a crisis?
And this could be setting up something like that. I mean, it's tough, though, because, I mean, you've got the Snyderverse, which came out, or the Snyder Cut, which came out a couple years later, and they'd already made follow-ups and done some different things. And the end of that one, people were like, I want to see that.
Right.
And I was one of the people saying that. I was looking, I was like, let me see that alternate.
Particularly at the end. At the end. That's what was drawing people in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, then we got the saying that it's not going to happen. What? It's not going to happen. That's what everybody wants.
And you have the potential to make it happen, especially with a Flashpoint movie, especially with introducing alternate versions of things. But you probably have a bigger problem with actors coming back, because that whole thing, the whole Justice League, the original one, the reshoots for the original one, the Snyder Cut, there is so much controversy around that. Like, and the way that the actors were dealt with during the original reshoots, when the WB executives were just like, we need to cobble a movie together, blah, 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 blah. doesn't seem promising that like a lot of these people want to, like Ray Fisher has had his whole own.
Oh, Ray Fisher's done.
Yeah, he's not
done.
So that Cyborg is, you know.
You should have complained afterward. I said that on Geek Gauntlet months ago. You should have complained about the situation afterward. Get your money, get your role, then after that, complain. But until you get your money, your role, shut up and get paid. I'm just saying.
Right now, it's called a Scarlett Johansson.
Exactly. And there's a rumor that came out.
Then sue.
Finish, and then you sue. Exactly.
Wait till you're done, though.
Collect. Wait till you finish and collect. But yeah, to come out with a crisis would really put a bow on everything, would tie everything up with so much going on. But like you said, actors, writers, not getting along. I doubt if we see it. So this Flash movie is going to be the closest that we get.
Debbie, what do you think about that situation with the Flash? In general, this movie, like, I know we've talked a lot about Marvel. I haven't talked to you as much about DC stuff. So, like, is this even something that you're looking forward to?
Yes and no, because I'm not an Ezra fan so far. Right. I mean, that could change, but I just love Grant Gustin so much. So it's hard to see anyone else playing Flash. So that's my issue, my problem. I'm going to have to learn how to get over it. But I agree about the running. And I just really did not like the way he acted as Barry Allen. It rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I don't know.
They were using him. Go on.
To me, as a hero, you're supposed to be confident in everything that you do. You're supposed to be confident. You're supposed to be skilled. Just by the fact he said, well, I really don't fight anybody. I just push people. Just lost it. That just lost it for me. Because you're supposed to be able to fight. You're supposed to be able to beat the bad guys.
1,000 punches in a second.
Yeah. And he said, hold on. I just push people. Oh, man, come on. We got to do better than that.
Do you think that all of that was an effort to set him up? Several things. They made him the only comic relief. Now, in the original Justice League, they tried to lighten the tone, but that just made it look like two different movies got smashed together.
Oh, yeah.
But even in the Snyderverse, like, he is the comic relief. He is that. Like, there are some subtle moments with the other ones, like playing off of the characteristics of like Bruce's gruffness and things like that. But he is the joke machine.
Right.
And so they overly use him as that. They also make him the kid. He's the kid on the team. Do you think they were also trying to make him super unskilled so that they could, because when they're thinking at that point, they hadn't even introduced him in a movie yet. So they're like, we haven't even done his origin story or whatever. We've got to make this guy.
That's kind of what I was wondering
later. But then they never got the chance because like so many things got thrown up in the air.
Right.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, especially with his running in his portrayal, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if they said in the movie how long he had his powers.
I don't remember.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. So I get, maybe he's like really super new to it and he's just learning these things, and maybe that's why he's just pushing people, because he's trying to learn his limits or whatever. But that I can forgive if that's where they're going. We'll have to see in this second movie, or in the Flashpoint movie. But
and that could be what causes him to make that mistake in this new movie, is that inexperience. Because in the original Flashpoint, he's been the Flash for a long time. It actually starts out with an attack on the Flash Museum in Central. So at that point, it's like he's totally experienced. He goes back in time despite knowing that he shouldn't. And then he has to fight his opposite, Zoom, in that new reality. Now, in this new version for live action, we have a different Flash. This is Ezra Miller, the youngest, the kid, so maybe it's a mistake, or maybe he does actually figure out that he can, and that's why they've got him bouncing through different things. And maybe in this, it's more of an honest mistake than like Although I did like that about Flashpoint, that he just made the decision. He's like, shoot,
I'm finna do this.
I can change time.
I'm about to.
Why
do
don't
this.
I? Yeah. And then you find out exactly why you don't.
Why you don't do it?
I'll tell you why.
One misstep and that's it.
Yikes! You stepped on the wrong dandelion, my friend.
The wrong one, man. Ooh-wee.
The flap of the butterfly's wings.
The one thing about that movie that I was always asking is Clayface dead? Because if you go back, he was fighting Atlantis with Lex and his crew, and you saw him getting messed up, but you don't know for sure if he's dead.
I'm pretty sure everyone on that boat died.
Think so?
Because in that reality, anyway. But then he goes back at the end. Spoilers, but Flash.
Yeah.
Goes back and
I haven't seen
Flashpoint from happening. Well, what do you think?
It's a fantastic.
He dies. Yeah, he gets shot. No, it's really good though. And actually, again, I say this every chance that I'm talking about DC. While the movie, the DC Expanded Universe verse has been you never know what you're gonna get. It's not the animated movies over from around 2009 to 2019 and probably still currently. I just don't know if I'm gonna caught up on them. They're interconnected. They're amazing. The voice actor, I mean, you got Kevin Conroy, you've got different people coming in and just doing an amazing job. And actually that the Justice League War was one of the first ones where you actually have the team coming together. And I think that was New 52.
New 52.
Yeah. And while the comics, everyone was like, yeah, they did a really good job.
They did
with the films. And I kept wondering to myself when I kept going to see these DC films in theaters, I was just like, is your animation team are you completely separate? All you should be doing is taking that cartoon,
cartoon and follow it.
People to act it out. That's all you have to do.
I mean, you have a blueprint. Use it.
For instance, Flashpoint Paradox, Thomas Wayne as Batman, drunk with pistols. A drunk Batman with pistols.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go see this movie yet? Well, guess what? Now it's being played by what's his name?
That's great to see that. That's great.
And they're bringing it to live action. And they've talked about having multiple Batman, which is something I'm looking forward to. But let me ask you this. Do you think that's a crutch?
No.
For this movie, for the Flash movie? You don't think so?
Nah. And the only reason why I say that is because the anticipation in the build. A lot of people might not be Ezra Miller fans, but they still want to see it because of the different characters that's going to be in this movie. I want to see it because I want to see how this new Supergirl compares to Melissa Benoist in terms of taking on that new role. That's one reason why I want to see it. I know she's gotten some type of flack on social media, but I'm gonna hold and reserve my judgment until I see the movie and see how good she is in that role.
Now, is that the darker haired Supergirl that I've seen pictures of? Okay.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've seen anyone who's watching, if you've seen it online, maybe pictures of Supergirl. I saw her in a harness as she was coming down, and she has the shorter, darker hair. And is that a different?
That's a different Supergirl from a different Earth.
Different Earth. Okay. So there you go.
Yeah. But I'm not going to reserve bagging on her. I want to see her act in the role first before I say if she's bad or she's good.
Absolutely. Behind the scenes photos can be ridiculous. If you've ever seen the behind the scenes photos of Thor putting his axe into Thanos and just seeing how that looked in real life, it's just how did Chris Hemsworth keep a straight face?
Right. Yep.
So behind the scenes stuff, it's great, but it's behind the scenes. There's tons of stuff that goes millions of dollars worth of work yet to do still on these things. So
exactly,
you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Oh yeah, but I'm excited for it. I want to see what it does. Hopefully it's good. And be your own critic. Don't trust the critics and what they say. Go see it for yourself. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But see it on your own. Don't trust a critic or anyone else. Go see it for yourself and form your own opinion on it.
I'm definitely interested to see exactly what they're going to do with it, because I know this movie, I've been saying it for a long time, lots of people have, is going to be a course correction for them. This is an opportunity, literally just like The Flash, when he resets timelines, this is a chance for them to do that. My question, I guess, now is, do you think this will be a resetting of the timeline? Everything that we've seen so far in the Snyderverse, even, it's going to reset that by the end of this? Because he's probably, if it's like the Flashpoint thing, he's going to fix it by the end and go back. but
Right.
there can still be changes. If you watch the show,
It could be.
when this happened on the show, he went back, but there were changes when he got back because
Right.
time, you messed with it, and
Yep.
mess with time. Sometimes time messes back,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if you try and fix it. So this is an opportunity for them to do some course correction. William, how much of that do you think they're going to do? Like, do you think they're going to totally change, or do you think like we're still going to have Batfleck, we're still going to have Jason Momoa?
I still think we're gonna have some of that core, but I think about maybe 60-70% will be changed. Because if you don't do that, then what was the purpose of the movie?
Yeah.
You know, what was the purpose of the movie in general if you're not gonna have any type of course correction for the universe? I just wish, I'm with Debbie. I just wish it was Grant Gustin, not Ezra, man. I'm not crazy about Ezra. He doesn't even fit the role to me. Grant fits the role. He's tall. He's lanky. He fits the role of someone who runs track, basically.
A runner, yeah.
Yeah, of a runner. And it's like Ezra. No. Yeah.
And even to the comics, I mean, if you watch like some of the Justice League stuff, the animated stuff from like the 90s, early 2000s, all of the heroes are just jacked and
just jacked up. Even him.
But that's the thing, is like in other iterations of this character where not literally every person is jacked, you see him and you see the difference between like Superman, who's always jacked, and him. He's like small, not necessarily small, but like a thinner, faster guy.
However, that doesn't mean he isn't strong, because he lifted Gorilla.
Goodness.
He ran like a mile or two while carrying Gorilla Grodd. That's no easy feat.
He's definitely got some super endurance, super strength backed in there, but
he's got something.
The Speed Force. Use the Force, Barry.
Use the Force, Barry. Use the
Speed Force. We don't want to get
Speed
sued.
Force. Don't want to get sued up in here. Use the Speed Force. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Luke, use the regular force, man.
Regular force, man. Tap it to the regular. But I'm excited for it. Let's see what it does. And again, hold your own judgment till you see the movie.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly, when we talk about Flashpoint, at the end he goes back and fixes things. In one of the other animated movies, I think the most recent one I've seen, and it still came out like a year or two ago, was like Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
Ooh, that was so good.
Which is like so many things in there. But bam, at the end of that one, which is crazy. I recommend it highly as I do any of the other ones. Watch all of the animated movies from DC. Like they're so good.
If you watch Justice League Apocalypse Dark, oh my goodness. But be ready. Because there's some gore in this movie. I'm telling you right now, be ready.
Pretty up front too. Things get ripped in half. There's blood. This is not your typical knock them out superhero. This is dark. When they talk about DC, the Dark series, that's Constantine and magic and blood and sex.
Listen. Poor Shazam. I feel sorry for Shazam.
That was rough.
He went out like a Gito. You got to give him that.
He had it rough in Flashpoint too.
Yeah, I feel for him though, man. He went out like a G in that movie though.
Oh, absolutely.
He really did. Shazam, man. He took some paratroopers, doing paratroopers with him. So y'all go see that. Heck yeah.
Absolutely. And the Flash is important in that. Again, spoiler alert, but with resetting timeline.
Is it a spoiler? The movie been out for a while.
I know. I still throw it out there. They use him to reset the timeline, and he says, even at that point, he's like, but we don't know what it'll be like. And Constantine's like, anything's better than this.
Exactly.
So this is their chance again to use the Flash to literally reset the mode here.
It's a cheat code. He's like the Contra code. He's a cheat code.
AYB.
If you mess something up, call the Flash. He'll come and fix it for you. That's all. You might not remember what he fixed, but it's fixed.
Oh yeah. The world was ending. Now it's not ending.
Now it's not ended. I forget why. But hey, I'm just saying. Oh my goodness. But yeah, the animated stuff have been great. The only bad animated movie I've seen from DC was The Killing Joke. That thing was terrible. But other than that, The rest of them have been good, yeah. And you can take it all the way back. I want to say Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman with that first Batman Sub-Zero movie. You could take it as far back as those as to see how great the animated universe is going to end up being, because there was some good there was some very good movies. Both those movies were great.
Yep. And it just, again, boggles the mind. It's like, why couldn't you just do a live action?
Yeah.
Just take it and do it.
Just take it and do it.
Fans would be overwhelmingly happy because they're like, oh, dude, I love this. New people who don't know it would just enjoy it because they're really good. They're well-paced, well-made stories.
Yep. And you brought it up earlier. They have to do something to counter what Marvel is doing. I mean, look at What If. What If has been great. Look at Bucky and the Winter Soldier. Great. Look at WandaVision. Great. I mean, they're knocking it out the park.
And that raises the question, how is DC going to respond to that? Because we talked about this a little bit before the show, or I mentioned it, that these studios keep track of what the other is doing, and they try to compete. And sometimes literally, like the example of Captain America Civil War and Batman versus Superman. That happened as the studio's response to seeing what each other was doing.
Right.
Like, what movies do they have lined up? What do they have planned? How are we going to get to these points? Because, again, DCEU already struggling to catch up. They were like getting ready for their Justice League movie because the MCU already had an Avengers out.
Yep.
And, Avengers 2 already. So they're like, we got to bolt on this thing. And that's why they did the Justice League before introducing all the characters.
Well, the thing is, there hasn't been a competition. MCU has just
killing them.
Knocked it, yeah. DC, I don't know what their problem is. The Dark Knight series was wonderful. Before that, you had some hit and misses, and the first Suicide Squad, and then the second one was a little bit better. I still had my issues with it. And then the Snyder cut. Wow, what a great movie. And I loved the ending with Joker.
Yep.
And I'm like, where was this Joker in Suicide Squad? Because
yeah, kind of gave
awesome.
Yeah,
gave that character almost like a second life.
Well, he wasn't even in it. What, 5 minutes in the movie, or
like
in the
4 minutes? Like 4 minutes 25 seconds.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I really wanted to see this movie because of Joker. So
right,
you cut him out, and I know. Well, I've heard that Jared was not very happy about that at all. So,
well, from what I heard about his in-depth acting practices or whatever, as being the Joker, even Offset, like he would mail dead rats to people. Like, so he was just like, "Oh, I'm in character as Joker," and it's like, you know what,
bruh,
we're gonna get somebody else,
bruh.
Well, I would like to see a Joker movie with the Joker that was at the end of Justice League.
Right.
Yeah. Well, everyone wants to see the next. Everyone wants to see like literally what happens right after that scene. Like that, if a movie started right there, boom, shut up and take my money.
Shut up and take my money.
Yes. And this has come with a few good ones. That first Wonder Woman movie I thought was great. The second one, I love Gal Gadot, but she's got some issues in that second one. Aquaman was great. I loved Aquaman. So they've had some hits in there, but it's just there haven't been enough of them.
So is it the writers, the directors, or is it the higher ups than that can't get their shit together? Because like Chris said, the animation, I have not watched them personally, but I'm just going by, my son has, and he loves them, but it's just like, why is there such a disconnect between the animation and the live action?
I think the animation team isn't scared to let it rip. I think the animation team isn't scared to let things go within their stories. Whereas the writing team for the DCEU, the live movies, we have to temper this, we have to temper that, we have to be careful here, be careful there, man, bump all that. You need to doggone, just like the animation team does it, you need to your live movies need to be let go. Don't put restrictions on everything. Keep everything open and let it go. And the fans would appreciate that more than the stuff you're doing now.
Because you've got a lot of people who are fans of things like I am, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, the TV show, you know, and they're the great stories that they pulled from that and utilizing the larger teams and different teams once you get into Unlimited and stuff. And then even just the basic Justice League, those stories are all amazing. But, you know, if you took some of that and just paid tribute to that, and that's the thing is their animation studio has, you know, been their animation studio since, you know, the Batman,
the first time around.
It's still the same. They're just using what they know how to do, which is make good stuff pretty much, you know, and so they're just continuing to do what they do. The live action stuff, that you've got more executives putting their fingers into pies, people investing more money into it to get a bigger payout, because it's a bigger payout, it's a bigger thing. And that's why, you know, there's more money going into it. So you've got the people who are putting their money into it, you know, messing around with it, especially when you have what happened with the Justice League. But even before then, I mean, Zack Snyder's daughter, and he had to leave because of that. That is one whole thing. But how that was handled afterwards,
right? And
how the things that led up to that, you know, they don't know how to make movies necessarily. They have money to make movies, but then they start, we're hearing from audiences that they don't like this, or we're hearing from that it's too dark. The DC universe is too dark. We've got to lighten it up. So you see, once they actually didn't have Zack Snyder to worry about, they immediately tried to lighten the mood, and it just.
But that's not DC.
Right. It's not. Exactly.
Exactly.
That's like my not with Batman Brave and the Bold. It was supposed to be darker tone Batman, but yet when you look at the final product, it's more kid friendly Batman. Brave and the Bold could have been a lot better than what it was, but it wasn't. And if you go back, you mentioned Justice League Unlimited. Look at the rosters you had. Those rosters was just sick. You know, you saw now Stargirl just hit the big screen with CW, but you had Stargirl in that.
The Question.
The Question.
He was huge in that. I love The Question.
Yeah, you had the Question in that. You had Supergirl before, you know, Melissa Benoist came around. You had a huge roster there. And
Green Arrow and the Huntress both had some big storylines.
Yeah,
it's like with turning against the League and stuff like that. And
now you haven't seen a Huntress since back in the day.
And one of the first things the first episode of Justice League Unlimited, I think, when they switched from just the tight Justice League to like the big roster, was them trying to recruit Green Arrow. And I forget who it was that was sent to recruit him, but he's
Green
like
Lantern.
fighting. Yeah, Green Lantern goes. And so he's fighting thugs like on the street level, and that's his whole argument. He's like, I've got to be here. Like, you guys are always worried about alien invasion, blah, 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 but who's looking out for the little guy? And he does one of the things I love about the Green Arrow, which he shoots arrow,
trick
into a
arrows,
boxing glove.
Yeah, the trick arrow.
That was my biggest complaint with the Green Arrow series. I was just like, there's not nearly enough trick arrows.
Oh yeah, he
at
showed
any point during the.
He showed like one or two at Arrow, but it wasn't a whole heck of a lot.
It wasn't a lot. Like in this, he pulls the arrow halfway through mid-flight. It turns into a big old boxing gloves and just knocks a dude out. And I'm just like, that's a comic. That's.
Oh yeah,
that makes you more interesting to watch than just a guy with a bow and arrow.
And don't forget too, in that movie, who was the voice of reason? Batman, because you remember he said, "Hey, remember those monsters you don't fight? They tend to step on little guys." and then toward the end of that episode, he saw Black Canary, and that was it. He was hooked.
Well, I guess I could hang around for a little while.
Okay, I can hang around. I can hang around for Black Canary now. We can hang around for Black Canary now.
So, what do you guys think of? Or are you hyped, excited for the new Batman movie? Because I'm super hyped.
Robert Pattinson.
Yes, I've heard it is super dark and gritty, which is what I want. I want it dark, gritty, and dirty, and gross.
I'm very interested in seeing that. Very interesting.
Evidently, they had a screening and it did really well. So I'm hoping.
Although that also you have to take with a grain of salt because they try and promote movies basically by saying we had a screening and everybody loved it.
Chris. Don't burst my bubble.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm looking forward to it too. That first trailer that they put out. I mean, man, they only had 30% of the movie filmed when they put that trailer out, but
it's
that was some really good stuff in there.
It's like you can see Batman's going through some changes in this. It's like he lost everything and now he's trying to fight to get it back again. Because if you notice, if you look at that Batmobile, that thing ugly. It's like he hand put that Batmobile together.
Oh yeah, he's been working.
Yeah, he's been working in a garage.
Let me just buy a jet engine online.
Yeah, they buy a jet engine on eBay and just put it in here, and then we go from there. That thing ugly, but and that's the thing that makes me want to see it because you've never really seen a Batman who struggled. You've never seen that before.
They're usually at the peak of their abilities. Even in Batman Begins, he had been trained, before he can. And so he was kind of testing different stuff to make his suit, but they kind of skimmed over that. This is the point, he's been working as Batman in the city for a while. The cops are aware of this vigilante, but they don't know him. That's again something that was kind of skimmed over in Batman Begins.
Yep.
But in this, we're gonna see his first interactions with large groups of police. We're gonna see how he's dealing with crime, and we're gonna see the vengeance that he's talking about. Because again, Batman is a character who evolved. He started fighting crime as vengeance and things like that for his murdered parents. This could still be a Batman who's very much angry and looking to beat the crap out of people. Not that every Batman doesn't want to do that, but he's more possibly at this point about vengeance than justice. And that could be something that he grows into. That was also something that I saw a lot of people bringing up memes or do when the trailer first came out, when he beats the crap out of that guy and he says, "I'm vengeance."
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, "What the heck? That's not the way the Batman does stuff." And I was like, and they used clips from comics and different things that have Batman teaching Robin about it's not about vengeance, it's about justice. And I was like, yeah, but look, when he's training Robin, he's already completed this arc. He's been fighting crime for a while. He's gotten past some of his own demons to realize I can't just be about vengeance. I have to be about something better than that. Even if while I'm punch people in the face, that's great. But it's not about the vengeance part of things. It's not about getting revenge. It's about justice, about doing what's right. This person could still be much more angry, much more vengeful. And also, you got to think about the circumstance he's in. He's in front of a whole gang of dudes by himself. So what do? Psychologically intimidate them by destroying one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and then you make the rest of them afraid of you. Fear. That's one of his primary. I want to make them feel my fear. I want to make them afraid. I want them to feel how other people feel when they're being taken advantage of by these criminals. I want them to be afraid. So if you brutally beat one guy and then the rest of the guys run away or whatever, that's a tactic.
Right.
I'm definitely looking forward to this Batman.
Yeah, I definitely am too. Like I say, other than the car being ugly, I want to see how he handles the role. The car's ugly, man.
It's not all about the cars.
I know.
It's partially. The Batmobile is a pretty big deal.
I know. But I just want to see. I just want to see how he handles the role. He did well in Twilight. Not that I was a fan of Twilight, but.
No, I've watched some of his other movies, and he's really good. I mean, this guy can act, so that's one of the other reasons I'm excited to see him do a Batman.
Hopefully, he'll be able to pull both off right, because sometimes you get an actor who can be a good Batman, but then a bad Bruce Wayne. And other times you get a good Bruce Wayne and a bad Batman. Val Kilmer, for example, I thought he was a good Bruce Wayne, but a bad Batman. George Clooney. Well, I agree with Mitchell, George. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. But let me take that back. But I just thought Val Kilmer was a very good Bruce Wayne. I think he sucked as Batman, but a very good Bruce Wayne.
Keaton.
Keaton did both good. He did both good. Yeah, he did both.
And that's why he's coming back in the Flash movie.
Yes. You know what though? And I'm gonna say this before I get out of here. I'm gonna say this: we need a Batman Beyond movie. We need it. We need it now.
I love that show.
Michael Keaton would be Old Man Bruce, and I don't care who you got to be Terry McGinnis. We need the movie. Stop. Just put the movie out there, man. We need it. Yeah. We need it. Oh my goodness. It's in the future. You can bring it's like you saw in the series. You can bring the future Justice League in it. Superman is still alive in there. He's got gray hair, but he's still alive. He's still around.
Static Shock. They need to do more with Static Shock.
Static Shock like 65, but he in there.
Now, let me ask you this: why are they trying to make a Black Superman movie before they make a Static Shock movie? What's the hold up on Static Shock? Or another do people not like? I thought everyone loved Static Shock. I love Static Shock. I remember growing up, I used to watch that show.
I love Static 2.
We beat superheroes. Static Shock.
I love Static 2. I do, but you got to remember Black Lightning is still ahead of the Justice League. That's number 1. Number 2, Static is still around in Young Justice. That's the second thing. And the third thing, I think a lot of people wanted to see those different realities of Superman because there's 2. If you go back and read the comics, I think people want to start seeing one of those guys get put out there. Heck, I'm still a fan of bringing Nubia to the big screen. I doubt if we get it, but I'm still a fan of seeing her.
Speaking of that, alternate realities, do you think they're getting set up for? There was a Justice League special event where an alternate reality Justice League that comes and conquers this version of the Justice League, basically because they lost their Flash.
You're talking about the Justice Lords.
The Justice Lords, right. Mm-hmm. Their version of the Justice League, their Flash gets killed, I think, by...
Their Flash gets killed, and I think he gets killed by their Luthor.
Yeah, Luthor. I was like, L something, not Loki. Too much MCU.
Too much MCU. Too much MCU.
No, Luthor. And then Superman kills Luthor, which is what the Flash had been able to keep him from doing previously. And then that just took him down this, instead of being merciful Superman, which thank goodness he is, that's one of the good things about he becomes just a iron fist of justice.
If you go back and watch that episode, he was even holding back a presidential election.
Right.
If you go back and remember that.
Because Luthor gets elected president. Yeah. And he kills him. Yep.
Yeah, he kills him. And then he says, don't you think it's time for a new president? I don't think so.
And it's basically like if, what they're doing now, what if, and then in that reality, they're like, hey, screw that. Let's go over here and like kill these other people in this other reality.
Yeah. And they almost got away with it if it wasn't for that Earth Luthor with the power disruptor, which they took hell on. When the show came out, because people said, what, is that easy? Is that easy? I mean, I don't know.
It's like, that's just a solution to this particular problem.
That's this particular problem, just to get over the lazy writing. But it's all good. It's all good. That's all. Oh my goodness.
If you did take some stuff like that, maybe, and they could be setting that kind of thing up, but I think, what do we know about the future of the DCEU? They've got Shazam and Black Adam.
I'm very interested in seeing what Black Adam ends up being. Very interested there.
Yeah. I think they have King of the Oceans too.
The
Aquaman
second Aquaman movie. I'm still trying to get the role as Black Manta, but Hollywood is hating on the brother. They're hating on the brother. They're hating on me. But yeah, thank you. But I'm very excited to see what he does as Black Adam. I'm trying. They held off the best. I guess they're waiting to finish the second Shazam movie, and then after that, in the third, to have him fight Black Adam. That's what I'm assuming. But
The Rock wants in, and I think
he wants in now. He wants in now. Yeah, he wants in now.
And he's like basically guaranteed box office success.
Yeah, don't wait. Let that fight happen now. The only thing that makes me upset about that second Shazam movie is that we lost the Mary Marvel I like the most, Michelle Borth. That made me upset. but I get it. You're bringing someone a little bit younger to maybe make that role a little bit more realistic. But I thought Michelle Borth was really, really good in the first one, and you replaced her for some reason with no explanation. So I don't get it.
Let me ask you real fast before we go. We're almost at an hour here. I know you got to get out of here. Changing topics completely. With Star Wars, real fast. There's been some mumblings about changing the name of Boba Fett's ship, Slave One. Do you have an opinion on that? That's nothing to you. You're like,
I don't get it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been that way for 40-some years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, and don't. You going down the same route DC doing the same route. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, in DC's case, it's broke, so they got to try to fix it. But come on, man, leave Boba Fett alone. Leave Boba Fett alone.
I'll be interested to see if in the book of Boba Fett, if they address that somehow.
Prepare to receive cargo.
Kenner's Slave One comes with frozen Han Solo.
Is Han Solo completely frozen stormtrooper? Yes, Boba Fett.
Action figures each sold separately.
Place them in the prisoner retention unit.
Slave One has a rear loading ramp,
Prepare for takeoff. Check.
movable cannons, and gravity-operated wings that trigger lock.
On to Jabba.
Slave One with frozen Han Solo from Kenner's Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back collection. Action figures each sold separately.
I mean, the name's been trademarked for 40 years.
That's different, and that's disrespectful to Han Solo. When you can frozen Han Solo as an accessory,
Comes complete with frozen Han Solo.
Bro, that shit's wrong.
Yeah, and the other kid's not like, look at that.
Oh gosh,
It's not like
oh gosh.
the one kid's like, look, I got Slave One, and the other kid's like, that's offensive. No, he's just like, put Han Solo in there.
Put frozen Han Solo on Slave One. Let's go. Let's go. Look at him, man. He don't even look like Han Solo.
And it's been brought up because it seems like Disney's trying to get rid of the name. They renamed it on the Lego set. That was about a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 20th anniversary Slave One Lego set right now, but I haven't put it together. But still, it says
I'm like this.
Slave One.
I'm like this. I get you. I get that you're trying to change things for the better throughout the realm of society, and I get that. I understand that. But at the same point, if it's a ship, you're not talking about a person. Right. It's a spaceship. It's a fictional spaceship. You're not talking about a person of any color whatsoever. It's a fictional spaceship. Let things be as they are. Leave it alone. Don't change the source material for PC reasons. Don't do that. Leave it alone.
And here's the thing. It's not like that then erases slavery.
Right.
Even from the Star Wars galaxy. Like Anakin Skywalker.
Yep.
I'm a slave. Yeah, I'm not a slave. I'm a person. What are you going to do? Change that then?
Exactly.
What are you going to do? The Wookiees weren't enslaved and hunted.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
exactly.
They were forced into indentured service. You know, if it's then why are you changing this?
It takes you down a slippery slope.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's how I feel about it too. And in the grand scheme of things, other people are like, "Why do you care?" I'm like, "What, are you in love with the word slave?" And I'm like, "That's obviously not what it's about."
Right.
But
exactly.
That's obviously not like
you don't get
it's
people.
Just, why are you so attached to this? I was like, well, when I was a child, 10 or however many years after this movie had already come out, and I'm seeing commercials and reading media and playing it in games, and even in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the newest one, you play in Slave One. That's the name of the ship. But it was never said in the movies. It's just in countless other things. If the movies is your only frame of reference for Star Wars, you might not be as big of a Star Wars fan as you think.
Right.
So, like, I'm not attached to slavery, but Boba Fett's ship is called Slave One, and they're in books where he has it slaved to the command of his helmet, and he's not a good guy. He's at best neutral, but even in The Empire Strikes Back, he's wearing Wookiee pelts that he killed sentient creatures and wears their. Now that might be legal under the Empire, but legality and morality are not the same thing.
Exactly.
And he's not a good guy. He's also a badass. He's one of the only people that stands off against Vader, talks back to Vader. People are like, he's not even that big of a deal. I was like, hey, did you see the prequels where literally all the clones in that entire war are from his exact DNA, except he's better than all of them? But he's not a big deal. He's not a main character. His ship never. You know what? All of you just calm down. I know you're trying to like be on the PC Disney train. Like, we're moral soldiers for what's right. And it's like, calm down.
Leave stuff alone. It's like, and I always said, if you ever go back and listen to Geek Gauntlet, when you leave the source material alone, unless there's a doggone good reason to change it, leave it be.
That's where the biggest problems with these things come from is, and they would have been perfectly happy. Classic fan, like your original fans of the material, would be perfectly happy if you kept it the same because that's what they know and love. And your new fans don't know any better as to what they're gonna like. Maybe they like the new things, but then you abandon your classic fans. Why don't you just make something for your fans who are gonna keep paying money if you keep giving them what they want? And anyone else you can manage to get on board, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Boba, this is one beauty of a ship. Not crazy about the name, though.
I do love that Billy D. Williams reprised his role as
Lando. See, man. Like I say, man, look. That time was great. I'm 50 years old, but I was a kid around that time, and that for me was fantastic. Lando, Han, Luke. That time was fantastic. Don't change nothing. Leave it alone.
Right. Eesh. And it's trying to change the past. And like, again, getting rid of that word slave doesn't get rid of slavery. You're not changing. You're just changing your product to try. I don't know.
Who's they? What the hell is an aluminum falcon?
Nobody's gonna know what you're talking about anymore.
I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
I'm interested to see what they do in Book of Boba Fett, because the reason I brought up Slave One name change again, because it was originally just a Lego thing. I was gonna let it go, but in the recent Marvel comic that came out, they were listing the bounty hunters with their ships, and they listed the other bounty hunters with the names of their ship, like Bosk and Houndstooth. But then when it came to Boba Fett, they said Fire Spray, and as we all know, Fire Spray is the class of the ship, not the ship's name. And so why are you listing other ships' name and not this one? Well, clearly, probably because someone said, and Lego admitted this. I don't know if the comics, but they're even more directly under Disney. But Lego said Disney asked us not to use Slave. So I have to imagine the same thing's happening. Are they trying to phase out that name? And will we see them call? We've seen Slave One again in Mandalorian, and when I saw it, I was like, Slave One. I hope that means Boba's here. That's what I thought. I didn't think Boba Fett's ship. I hope Boba's here. I thought Slave One.
Yeah,
because that's the name of Boba Fett's ship, Slave One. And to see they put it to such good use in the Mandalorian in the short time it was there, seismic charges, blowing stuff up, shooting behind it with the turrets, taking out an enemy with ion cannon so we could capture them like a true bounty hunter. I was like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. I worry that in the Book of Boba Fett they're going to do something with the name and officially try and change it there. But
I mean, they can change it all they want, but us older people and maybe some of the younger generation, it'll always be Slave One. I mean, we have a concert arena down in Indianapolis, and for years it was called Deer Creek. And that name has changed so many times because these companies keep buying it to have their, name on it, to call it the whatever. Nobody ever calls it that. They always call it Deer Creek.
Yeah. On the real.
It doesn't matter.
On the real. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Leave it be.
Agreed. Well, we're just about at an hour here, so I think we're going to call it a night. That was some great kerfuffling. Love talking about DC Universe. Haven't got a chance to do that in a while.
Oh yeah, most def.
I need to get caught up on the shows because I'm only behind on this season. I got halfway through the season, and then Corona took over my life, and I had never gotten back to finish the season. So
a lot of that stuff you hadn't missed nothing. To be honest with you, like this season of the Flight, nope.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing. Like I saw the screenshot where they had lightsabers, and someone was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, what the heck is going on? What's going on, man? Me and Shaw were looking at each other like, "Damn!" But
I'm excited to see Doom Patrol.
Oh yeah. And Titans is already out for its newest season.
See, I haven't watched that one yet. That's on my list.
Young Justice is on the way. Stargirl is already out. I love Stargirl. So,
yeah, she's great. I love her.
So definitely check them out. See what's going on. I'm just waiting on HBO Max to make themselves a little bit more relevant, but we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely.
Because right now HBO Max is a bunch of reruns. It's a bunch of reruns. Everything you've already seen. There's some they add some new content. They sprinkle in some new content here and there. New episodes of Titans. Some movies here and there that I don't particularly watch. But when it comes down to DC stuff, it's very little new that they add. So that's my gripe with HBO Max.
And they've had some problems. Again, DC has so many problems, but like being bought out and then bought by a new company and then switched over to this, and a lot of things that were in planning got stopped. A lot of potential things that they were we got bought out again, so now scrap anything that was in development.
Yep.
And we're gonna. So it's not surprising that you say that because, and that's what another thing with these streaming services are trying to do to play catch up. Like Disney Plus and Netflix they got ahead of the game, even Amazon in a way. But the only other strategy you have as a streaming service is get older content that people still want to watch and build up your library of content.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because it costs more money to actually make original stuff, but that's also how you get new headlines,
new fans,
and Disney again. The way that they're connecting everything, like the shows connect to the movies and they stagger the releases. So if you just have a subscription, it crosses over month to month. So you're going to be paying for the next month to finish the thing. And then the new one starts and then it crosses into next month. So, that whole strategy is designed to cut down on churn rate, which is a term that they use. The churn rate is the difference between how many subscribers you gained and how many you lost.
Mm-hmm.
And you generally want to be going up,
not down.
And Disney has found a pretty effective way of retaining their customers. And since they're putting out some of the most popular content, Marvel and Star Wars, they've got a pretty hard grasp on that. So it's definitely tough to compete with, and DC's going to have a very tough time with that.
They are.
But again, they've also got their characters, which people love. Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, the big three. But I love Flash too, and I didn't used to.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I was just like, he runs fast, who cares? And then I learned more about him. I was like, this guy's cool. All right.
That's it. He runs fast. That's it.
Boo!
That's all he does is run fast. That's I don't care about nothing else. He just runs fast.
I was like, whoa, changing time.
Oh, changing
1,000
time
punches
now.
in a second. I was like, that's cool.
It's infinite mop punch. Hey.
Oh yeah.
Hey, just saying. Hey man,
but I was more than just run fast.
but I do want to say thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're glad you could be here.
Thank you.
Over from the Geek Gauntlet,
yes,
which there are links below if you want to check that out.
Yes, definitely check us out every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv at William Morgan Media. You guys have a great week, and I'm out of here. Y'all have a good one.
See you later.
Take care.
And that's about it for us as well.
Just you and me, Chris.
Just you and me. Yay. All right. Well, we'll see you on Monday for MCU Mondays. And I'm excited to talk all about Doctor Strange and that What If episode and about Shang-Chi, which we're going to have seen by then. So everyone can look forward to
that
MCU
you're forcing
Mondays.
me to see.
You don't have to. We'll start talking about what Doctor Strange, then you'll have to leave at the end of every episode, I guess, if you don't want spoilers.
I just wish it was on Disney Plus.
And we'll talk about that too. The fact that it's not on Disney Plus, and whether or not that's going to be something that they keep doing, or if it's going to change, or if it all just depends on Scarlett's lawsuit, which it probably does. But anyway, We'll see you then. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're out.